Welcome to Wall Street Confidential. Jim, in the Dow Jones deal this week, we saw something we've seen in previous big deals, like the TXU deal and the First Data deal, is unusual options activity before the deal was announced. Is the SEC missing something here?
No, I think you'll find that the SEC, these are very easy cases. Here's what the SEC does in these situations. They go back 2 or 3 weeks. Every large buy of options is scrutinized. And what they do is they present an inquiry to anyone. You don't see that because it's an informal inquiry. They present an inquiry to everybody who bought calls. If the account has never bought a call, they will be brought in immediately, and they'll have to bring counsel. And if they've never bought calls before, the SEC most likely will bring a case for them unless they've got some sort of ironclad excuse. Those people are finished.
Okay.
Then there's a second group of people. And that group of people are hedge funds that buy abnormally large size versus what they usually do. Those people will be subpoenaed if they don't come in automatically with the informal inquiry and produce their records. And there may be a telephone inquiry there to see who they spoke. And then an institution will get the call, a hedge fund typically, that Dow Jones could be inquired. And the institution will shrewdly buy 1,000 calls on New York Times, 1,000 calls on Gannett, 1,000 calls on, let's say, Scripps, and maybe 1,000 calls on CBS, and then buy 1,000 calls on Dow Jones. That account will then be called in, and the account will be able to say, well, wait a second. I was trying to get into a large position in media stocks. And that's the account that will be absolved because that's an unclear one. So am I saying this is the strategy? No. And I think that the misinterpretation that I often get from people who I think are motivated to try to get me to either lose my job or to say, listen, the market's corrupt, is that this is how they play it. This is not how I play it, and this was not how I played it, and this is not what I favor. But it is the hedge fund way to be able to get around having inside information.
You think we're going to see more of it, or now that the secret's out, when we're seeing in the papers, people will be a little bit shrewder, perhaps?
Well, no. I think that there's just, in that first cohort, those people are the ones that the government's going to nail, and I think you will see them be nailed. Remember the process. The SEC kicks out. They go to Goldman and they go to Morgan and Merrill, and they say, we want to see all your runs of who bought calls ahead of time. And the market makers who sold the calls will also notify the SEC that they saw unusual activity. Then the net will be cast. But the net is not cast immediately.
It takes a while.
Yeah, because what they don't want to do is make it so that everybody is guilty till proven innocent. They bring in the innocent people, and then they try to prove them guilty. It's the American way.
And it's going to take a while. Jim Cramer, Greg Greenberg, Wall Street Confidential.